Every time people see this, including cat people, they always ask the same question. How the heck is she okay with this? I think they're actually asking a much larger question. I'm Dr. Badiee, psychologist and professor. Welcome to the first episode of Psychology with Lucy. Let's get into it. Attachment, the deep, lasting bond I feel with Loosy Goosy. At its core, attachment is about feeling safe enough to turn toward someone else rather than away from them. Turning towards someone else means that we are seeking them for comfort, for support, for connection. And whenever we hear about attachment, we tend to hear about early childhood experiences. And early attachment influences, but it doesn't necessarily determine how we will relate to others later in life. Some people are lucky enough to form a secure bond like the one I have with Loosy Goosey early in life. That gives them a template for forming secure connections. But what if you aren't one of the lucky ones? Many people don't get that secure attachment early in life. And that's not necessarily because of bad parenting or anything. There's a lot of things that can interfere with us not forming secure attachments. A lot of things can shape the attachment between Loosey Goosey and me. So, what can impact attachment? Well, to start with, our biology does affect our attachment, and the way that our bodies respond to things are very unique from a physiological perspective. So, that is one thing that affects attachment, as well as the early caregivers we had that I was talking about. But there's also a huge environmental component to attachment. So, lots of things from the environment can also affect how we relate to other people. Things like trauma, things like culture, and that includes both pressures from our culture as well as strengths from our culture and ways that our culture has helped us to connect with others. And also systemic oppression. So things like racism, ableism, sexism, those types of systemic oppression that people face, that also tends to affect our attachment to others. Building a secure attachment with Loosey Goosey has taken a lot of time. So many of us, through trauma, oppression, or other reasons, learn that the world just can't be trusted. When every door seems closed to you, when people treat you poorly just because of the way you look and how they view you as, it starts to take a toll. We start to really believe those messages. And we end up having walls up to protect ourselves. And it takes time to let those walls down. You've probably heard of attachment styles, right? Secure versus insecure attachment. There's anxious, there's avoidance, there's disorganized, right? Those are all insecure types of attachment. There's quizzes out there like, what's your attachment style? And putting you in categories of what that may be. But there is a problem with categorizing attachment this way. I mean, think about it. Hasn't everyone experienced some form of insecure attachment, right? Also, attachment can fluctuate, it can shift. We don't have just one attachment style. Our attachment style can fluctuate over time, it can fluctuate across relationships. And even within the same relationship, attachment can fluctuate. So, for example, in polyamory, when a partner starts dating someone new, people sometimes, even though they have a secure attachment, sometimes in that initial dating phase can feel forms of insecure attachment as well. And those can creep up. If you're enjoying this type of psychology cat content, please share and subscribe. When I'm with Loosey Goosey, I feel calm, collected, and peaceful. These are some signs that my nervous system is regulated. So, what are some other signs of that? Well, steady breathing is one. So, rather than breathing like, or just having shortness of breath, Our breath is steady, it's calm, we're taking enough oxygen in with each breath, we're getting the air out as well. Our muscles are relaxed, we don't really feel too much tension in our bodies. Our heart rate is calm, not going 100 miles a minute. We're more clear-headed. Our thinking is clearer. We're sometimes better able to communicate our thoughts. We're able to respond, not just react. So, what does that mean? Before we really disrupt this process, a lot of us, maybe in times of stress or conflict, might immediately react. We might immediately do what we tend to do, which is maybe shut down, which is maybe yell. And that is an example of a reaction because it's our immediate sort of like gut reaction. It feels like a gut reaction. It's not necessarily, but it does feel that way. If our nervous system is relaxed, we're able to respond. We're able to maybe take a few seconds, a minute or so, and just take some time to maybe think things through, to notice what's going on in our body and really get a chance to respond rather than that immediate reaction. Holding Loosey Goosey takes her from a restless, anxious state to calm. And on the other hand, hearing her purr soothes my distress. This is called co regulation. Essentially, another being helps us feel calmer and safer. Co regulation supports the ways that we regulate ourselves. It doesn't replace it. So we can't strictly do co regulation. I mean, because people are not available all the time, right? So we have to rely on self regulation, but co regulation can be an aspect of healthy relationships. And co regulation can happen through presence. So just maybe someone sitting with you, sitting next to you, being in the same room can make us feel calmer. Co regulation can happen through touch, like a hug, holding your hand. It can happen through voice, through just hearing people. Some people's voices can be very soothing. When we feel safe, we are open, flexible, and spontaneous, but still grounded in ourselves. We know who we are, and we don't need to constantly have our shield up to defend it. What are signs that we feel safe in our bodies? We are open to new experiences. We tend to be less rigid. We tend to be more open to new experiences. We tend to be flexible and spontaneous rather than being on guard. We feel present. We're not obsessing about the past or the future. We are in the here and now. We are not necessarily judging things as good or bad. We are in a mindful state of non judgment, and we feel grounded in ourselves. We are anchored in ourselves. So if we can imagine ourselves as an anchor, the ocean can have its tumultuous waves and move us around, but we remain anchored in ourselves. We're just comfortable with ourselves. We like our own company and we tend to be just not necessarily having an inflated ego about ourselves, but we tend to be okay with ourselves, at the very least, neutral. We are able to rest. We know that we deserve rest. We're able to take time for rest. We're able to take time for play as well, leisure activities. So, those are just some signs that we feel safe in our bodies. I feel safe with Loosey Goosey because I trust that she won't hurt me, at least not too hard, and that even if she gets mad at me, she will come back. What are some signs that a connection feels safe? We can be authentic with that person. We don't have to put our masks on that we show the rest of the world. We can take them off and exhale and feel authentic with that person. We can trust that after a conflict that we are going to repair. We can trust that conflict is not going to drive the person away, and instead will actually be an opportunity for people to get closer. They respect your boundaries. This is a little iffy with cats, But with humans, they should respect your boundaries. And that means your physical boundaries, that means your emotional boundaries, your mental boundaries. Like if you don't want to talk about something specific anymore, or you don't want to get into emotional discussions at certain times of the day, those are some examples of boundaries that need to be respected. You feel accepted by the person, you don't feel judged by them. If there's a mistake, it doesn't threaten the relationship. It actually strengthens the relationship. In a healthy relationship, that's what happens is that the connection gets stronger over time because you're learning from that conflict and you're becoming more intimate. These are just some examples of signs that a connection feels safe. This is not a checklist. This is not an all exhaustive list. Loosey Goosey always follows her intuition, never doubts it. We could all learn from Loosey Goosey. Don't ignore that intuition. We are so conditioned to push it down, especially when we've been so conditioned to ignore our own tuition for others' sake. But your intuition is there for a reason. It's there to give you really important information about yourself, about what's going on around you. Listen,